What's going on, everyone? Brandon here from Bloody Breakdown, and today I am taking a look at the worst entries into some of the most popular horror franchises out there. I've selected 10 of, I think, my favorite, honestly, franchises to do this to also. So I'm not being completely negative here. I'm taking something that I really love, but I am focusing in on the absolute worst each franchise has to offer. So I'm sure that there are going to be a lot of people that agree with me on some of these. I'm sure that there are going to be a lot of people that disagree with me on some of these. But whatever you feel, leave me your comments down below where they go in the comments section, and I'll be sure to have a discussion with you all about it. So let's start off, and these are in no particular order. These are just, like I said, taking 10 franchises that I particularly enjoy and taking a look at at least what I feel, because this is all just my opinion, are the weaker entries into the franchise. So I'm going to start with Evil Dead. Now, this one is very difficult for me because the original's a classic. The sequel is, in some aspects, better than the original. Army of Darkness, the third in the series, has some merits of its own that I really enjoy. It's a really good comedy horror, and even the remake, I really enjoyed the brutality and the gore behind that thing. But if I'm looking at this entire franchise, unfortunately, I have to take the one that only has Bruce Campbell in the last 5 seconds post-credits. I'm sorry. I hate to hurt everyone's feelings out there who love this, and I'll say, this is one of the better modern reboots out there, Evil Dead 2013. Unfortunately, you have to be in this position because you're talking about a franchise that is slammed packed. Granted, there's only 4 films in the franchise, but in my opinion, every film is really well done, and they're all different, and I really enjoy them all for different reasons. But if I'm looking at the entire franchise, I have to say, even though I love the gore in Evil Dead 2013, even though I really enjoy what they did with the film, I mean, that could have been a complete and total flop if you really look at it, but how well of a job it was done, how well it was put together, how it was a love letter to Evil Dead fans, to horror fans, to gore fans. Unfortunately, it has to be the weakest, in my opinion, in the franchise, because the original 3, in my estimation, are damn near untouchable. So I'm sorry, Evil Dead 2013, and I'm sorry to have to kick this thing off with a good movie saying it's the worst in the franchise. But in my opinion, I guess it is. And it's hard for me to say worst. I'll say the weakest entry, in my opinion, for this one. So coming up next is a franchise that has even less entries than the Evil Dead, with 3. And this one is very easy for me to do. It is the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise. Now let's think about this here. I look at the original, and I see a film that is really wanting to benefit off the success of Scream, and I think better than any other film of the time that did that, I think I Know What You Did Last Summer did that better than any other film of the Scream imitators. The sequel was solid. Wasn't as good as the original one, but it was a solid follow-up. And then we get to the movie that's making the list here. I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. Now, with Evil Dead 2013, I felt some remorse about putting it on the list. I really do. However, I feel absolutely no remorse whatsoever about saying I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer is a giant hunk of shit. No one should watch it, and the franchise should have rightfully been done after I Still Know. Now, it sucks that the franchise went out on that awful direct-to-video, complete and total piece of crap that it was, but there are some rumors out now that I'm hearing, and it'll leave even more than rumors in some instances, of a show coming to, I believe, Amazon or something like that, Prime Video. So I hope that it does come back with the recent news of Scream coming back. I guess it is kind of the right time for it. But it doesn't change anything that I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer is garbage. The acting is garbage. I'll give some of the... I guess I can give some props to like some of the effects and things like that. Other than that, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Acting, awful. Story, awful. Zombie Ben Willis, what the fuck? It's bad, and it belongs on this list. No regrets from me whatsoever. So, we're gonna move on to another one. This franchise also only has 3 entries, and this one also is no contest on what is the worst. So I'm talking the Blair Witch Project franchise. The original one of my absolute favorite films of all time. I know a lot of people will disagree with me about that, but hey, you know, it's an opinion. You have Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, and then you have Blair Witch that came out, I believe, in 2016. So, let me preface this before I say Blair Witch 2, Book of Shadows, is garbage as far as a film. Let me preface this with the fact that I enjoy Blair Witch 2 for what it was supposed to be. And fans of the franchise and fans of the genre who have dug into Blair Witch 2 and kind of have seen what it was supposed to be before the studios got involved, before there were too many hands in the pot and it turned out to be what it was. It was edited and cut and spliced to not make a bit of fucking sense, to make the protagonists look like antagonists, way before you ever rightfully should have felt that way. If you know what the movie was supposed to be and you can still watch it and see that, you really can, then I'll say those are the only merits really that this film has. And I don't blame the director, and I don't blame the actors. I blame the machine getting behind what was going to be a follow-up to one of the most, or at that time, the most successful independent film ever made. And they ruined it. They turned it into hot garbage. And even though the third Blair Witch film leaves some things to be desired, I was glad to see it come to fruition because it is vastly a better film than Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. Now, once again, that's not to say that this film, had it been untampered with, I don't think this film would have been on the list at all. I probably would be talking about 2016's Blair Witch. But given the fact that it was just messed with and it was turned into something that it wasn't supposed to be, Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2 has to be on this list. Alright, so up next is definitely time to piss some people off. We're talking about the Scream franchise. Let's go ahead and knock the first Scream and the second Scream right off contention here for being the worst. I think Scream's one of the greatest slasher films ever made. Sometimes I even compare it to Halloween, which is my personal favorite. I think Scream 2 is the best sequel, or one of the best slasher sequels of all time. So is it Scream 3 or Scream 4? Well, time to piss some people off, because I've kind of gotten into more of the Scream fandom here recently with the upcoming film at the beginning of 2022. And I know that I'm probably in the minority here. I have a soft spot for the original Scream trilogy. Call it nostalgia, call it what you will. I got to give the worst entry in the franchise, and I hate to do this because I love all 4 movies, but I got to give it Scream 4. You know, people like to talk about the problems with Scream 3. And there were problems with Scream 3, absolutely, but people don't want to talk about the problems with Scream 4, about how the ending was changed, about how it didn't really make any fucking money, about how, you know, the plans that were, the seeds planted in this movie that were supposed to go across a new trilogy never came to fruition. And it was honestly because this movie just wasn't strong enough to do that. And, you know, I have issues with Scream 3, I do, I get it. But if I'm looking at the entire series, Scream 4 seems like the one that is just the most useless to me, personally. I think 1 through 3 tell a good story. It's a good trilogy. It's a beginning, middle, and end. I really hope that the upcoming film is really good. And I do enjoy Scream 4. I do. I hate shitting on it at all whatsoever. But if I'm looking at the whole franchise, I'm saying this one's the least effective to me. You know, some of the people talk about how Scream 3 had all these characters that weren't fleshed out. Scream 4 had that same issue. And it was just a lot at once, and I don't know. I think if it's a good solid film on its own, but if you got to pick one this week, at least for me, I'm going Scream 4. So let the hate comments flow. So let's talk about a franchise that has a shit ton of entries. We're talking about Friday the 13th. Now, there's a lot of people that would give this spot to, say, Jason X or Jason Goes to Hell. I'm going to do you one better, because I actually, I kind of enjoy Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell, okay? Say what you will. I'm giving this one the least effective, the worst entry in the franchise, at least according to this guy, goes to Jason Goes to, not Jason Goes to Hell, excuse me. Jason Takes Manhattan. For me, this, you know, these movies are supposed to be campy and corny and whatever. I get that. But even for a campy, corny slasher flick, like, you could just really tell that at that point in time, Paramount was just like, just fuck, do whatever you want to with it. Just fucking put a guy in a hockey mask and let him kill kids. We don't fucking care anymore. And it kind of showed through. Like, there, you look at Jason X or you look at Jason Goes to Hell, and you're seeing movies that you can kind of remember for something, even if it's like goofy shit. But like when you're looking at Jason Takes Manhattan, nothing really stands out about it as like memorable in any good way whatsoever. So once again, I love the Friday films. I'm not even someone who just completely hates Jason Takes Manhattan. But I do feel as if you look through all 12 films in this franchise, in my personal opinion, it looks the most thrown together, rushed, and just not as satisfying as the rest of the franchise. So up next, we're going to move from Freddy, or Jason, to Freddy. We're going to talk about the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise and which one do I feel is the worst entry in said franchise. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, it came down between the winner, I guess you're a winner if you're the worst, I don't know how that works, and Part 5, Dream Child. So, what wins? Well, it wasn't Dream Child, it ends up being the 2010 remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Let's just do some shot-for-shot bullshit with some ugly CGI that makes Jackie, whatever his name is, look like a pulsating herpy. I mean, I could go on and all day about this. That's why I have to kind of take that breath and just kind of push back a little bit before I go on a huge rant about how much I absolutely hate this fucking movie. Don't like it at all. Not a big fan of shitting on of the horror genre in a way that I think that I'm gonna do talking about this film, so maybe we'll save it for another day. There's no question in my mind, the 2010 remake was the worst entry in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. I'll take any challengers. You want to throw Freddy's Dead at me? Bring it on. I can face that challenge. You want to throw Dream Child? Whatever. Even the people that don't like Wes Craven's New Nightmare, I don't care. I will argue with you to my death that the 2010 remake is the worst thing I've ever seen in that franchise. So we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about another franchise that has a lot of entries and a very iconic slasher, that being Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And this one's a doozy. It's very interesting because you have the first film that's a classic. Awesome. The second one, I love it. A great follow-up, a good horror comedy. The third one, I even like some of the gore and brutality in that film. The fourth one, complete and total guilty pleasure. I love Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger before they were ever famous in this just weird-ass Illuminati-based Leatherface film. And it just keeps going on and on from there. The remake or the reboot, whatever you want to call it, was good. The prequel to the reboot even had some pretty good kills and things like that in it. You stumble on to Texas Chainsaw 3D and Leatherface, the most recent entry. And it's definitely got to be between those two. And some people are going to disagree with this because Texas Chainsaw 3D is just maligned. People do not like that film, and I understand why you don't. And I agree with you on several fronts. However, it ain't the worst. The worst is Leatherface, not Texas Chainsaw 3, the most recent, I believe, released in 2017, Leatherface. That doesn't feel like, that doesn't look like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. I don't know what the fuck they were going for, and I honestly believe that they took another script that had nothing to do with Leatherface and slapped Leatherface on it. In the same way I feel like that's kind of what they did with Orion's new Child's Play film. It does not feel at all like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. And it's not like, oh, we're trying something new with the source material. It just doesn't look like they're using the source material. They're trying to make something else fit the source material. And it's just not good. It doesn't feel right. I don't fucking like it. So, no question there. Leatherface, the most recent entry. Definitely my least favorite. My opinion, the worst in the franchise. So up next, we're going to talk about Saw. Saw. We got a new Saw film coming out next year. I don't know. Maybe it'll drop on some streaming service if Warner Brothers is showing us how things are going to be going soon. But we're supposed to be getting one next year, and I hope it doesn't replace the movie I have now as the worst. But I'm just going to skip right to the chase with this one. No equivocations, no excuses. Jigsaw. It was the first movie, in my estimation, that took a pretty... I give Scream a lot of credit about having a fluid story, utilizing the same characters, having the same actors and actresses come back and play them year after year. Saw deserves that same recognition, sometimes even more so, because of how quickly they pump these first 7 out or so. One a year. But after the break, they come back. They do Jigsaw a couple of years ago. It starts opening up plot holes in the timeline. It starts opening up just issues. It was just kind of one of those things like, let's cash grab. Let's say if we can make another Saw film and not put any real effort into it and just pump something out again. Let's see what it is. And, I was just very disappointed by Jigsaw. Especially, I even liked Saw the Final Chapter, and people hate that movie. I even liked that one. But this one I couldn't stomach. It didn't feel, once again, kind of like I felt about Leatherface. It didn't feel like part of the Saw franchise, even though it was, and, had all those elements, and, Saw is what it is. Something just felt off about it, and it didn't feel right to me. And I didn't like the new accomplice for Jigsaw. I didn't like how they tried to go back and he's been there before everybody, and they always do that. But I think it's grown tired, and I'm hoping that this new Saw film that they're going to release next year is something that is familiar yet different, in a way that isn't so drastic that it makes you go, is this even a part of the same franchise? So I guess time will tell, but Jigsaw is definitely the worst in my opinion. So, 2 more to go here. We're going to talk about the Child's Play franchise up next. And do I really have to waste any time on this one? Should I just say Seed of Chucky and keep moving? I should? Yeah, Seed of Chucky fucking sucks. It's awful. And every other Chucky film is good. Next. So, we're going to the last film here. The last one. And I wanted to save, one of the biggest franchises for last. Something that if you're familiar with this channel, you know I talk about it a lot, and that's Halloween. Now, Halloween has some great entries in the franchise. The original one's my favorite film of all time. The second one's amazing. The third one, Season of the Witch, is a great underrated film. Even 4 was great. 5, you're a contender. 6, soft spot, nostalgia, whatever. H2O's good, I like H2O. Resurrection, you're a contender. Rob Zombie's Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, you're a contender. And then Halloween 2018 I enjoyed very much. So, once again, looking at other people and how they kind of rank Halloween, I see the 3 films that I said were a contender are not just in my opinion, but seem to be across a lot of different people's rankings. So is it Halloween 5, is it Halloween Resurrection, or is it Rob Zombie's Halloween 2? Well, it's Halloween Resurrection. I'm just going to go ahead and skip to the chase again, and it's Halloween Resurrection for a myriad of reasons. If you're going to do the whole family thing, which in the Halloween, by the time we hit Resurrection, we're still in the timeline of Halloween 1, Halloween 2, Halloween H2O, and Halloween Resurrection. That's the timeline. So if we're acknowledging Halloween 2, and we're acknowledging Halloween H2O, and we're acknowledging that Michael and Laurie are sisters in this universe, this whatever. He kills Laurie, very anticlimactic fashion, and begins killing other people that are in his home, not blood relatives, not in his way at all, whatsoever, to achieve whatever goal he has. Ultimately, his goals are done. In the first 10 minutes of Halloween Resurrection, Michael should have just been like, oh, well, okay, that's cool. I'm going to go retire now or whatever. Because according to the storyline, it's a family thing. Maybe not quite as in-depth as the Thorn deal, but it's like a sister thing, at least, right? He kills Judith. He wants to kill Laurie. He kills Laurie. What does he do now? Well, he goes back to a house that he's supposedly been living in, even though he's been searching for her. There's a lot of fucking plot holes. There's a lot of ridiculous shit in this film. The acting is bad. The writing is bad. Rick Rosenthal, what the fuck? You directed Halloween 2? What is this shit? Everything is bad about this film. And I'll say this again, as I said with another film in this list, it seems like Dimension got a script for like a found footage haunted house movie and said, you know what? That's Halloween. We're going to slap Michael Myers on this. We're going to put Busta Goddamn Rhymes in this, who, by the way, I enjoy his music. But we're going to put Busta Goddamn Rhymes in this. And we're going to just let him beat the fuck out of Michael Myers. We're just going to shit all over our own franchise antagonist. He's going to say cringy lines and be an awful actor. But it's okay, because he'll fit right in with the rest of the crew in this movie. They didn't try, they didn't care, and it showed. This movie is garbage. It is the worst of the Halloween franchise, and I still, for some goddamn reason, watch it every single year at Halloween, and I keep it in my fucking rotation when I watch them all the way through. I don't know why. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment. Who knows? But there it is, ladies and gentlemen, right there. The worst entries in my favorite horror franchises. You got Evil Dead 2013. Makes me sad, but it is what it is. I'll always know what you did last summer. No excuses. That movie's garbage. You got Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. Could have been good. Should have been good. The studio fucked it up, and it is what it is now. Scream 4. Sorry. Hey, I love all the Scream films, but you gotta pick one that's the weakest, and for me, that's the one. Jason Takes Manhattan. Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 remake. Leatherface, the 2017 film. Jigsaw, Seed of Chucky. Fuck, it's bad. And Halloween Resurrection. So there you go. I want to know what you all think in the comment section down below. Let me know your thoughts on the worst entries into some of your favorite franchises. Let me know if you agree or disagree with some of the picks that I had. And definitely check down below in the description section where you'll see some links to follow me on social media or support my work. And before we depart from one another today on this fine morning, afternoon, evening, whatever the fuck it is, leave me a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you want to see more of this guy bitching about things he doesn't like and overstating the things that he does like. You know, a YouTuber. So with that said, I'm Brent from Bloody Breakdown. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you all next time with a best entries into these very same franchises. I'm not just going to be negative, I'm going to be positive too. We'll catch you next time.